Bad timing for Brittney.
Yep.
Smuggling is crazy.
But you probably shouldn't do illegal shit in other countries. Point blank period. Right?
Bingo. Wrongfully sentenced. How you go from a $5,000 fine and 2 weeks in prison to 9 years?
God dang.
Is smuggling? Bro,
9 years for it. It ain't my law, bro.
Well, true. But if you got to, if somebody,
this is not my law. All right, so Brittney Griner will serve time in a Russian prison. On February 17th of this year, 2022, Brittney Griner, WNBA star, was arrested at a Moscow airport as she was leaving Moscow to come back home to start the WNBA season. She was arrested for carrying 2 vape cartridges for hash oil. Cannabis oil is essentially what it was. She has since been held in the Russian detention, where on August 4th she was sentenced to 9 years prison for charges of possessing and smuggling drugs. Which
smuggling is crazy.
Smuggling is wild.
Wow.
Well, again, for 2 vape cartridges that were less than a gram combined.
Right.
She appealed it to have a lesser sentence. She didn't think like she would get out of it, but she appealed it to have a lesser sentence, which was only reduced by a couple of weeks due to the time she has currently been serving in the Moscow or the Russian prison. So she's still going to do essentially 9 years. Despite setbacks, despite all the setbacks, it said that Brittney Griner is a high priority to get back into America, along with Marine Paul Whelan, their top priorities. Six, how you feeling about this situation?
So, says that Brittney was wrongfully detained since February, and we both got a popular opinion about that. But it's one of those things where, like, her, and you already talked about Mr. Whelan, Paul Whelan, who's the U.S. Marine. But her detention, I think, relates to the Russia's war in Ukraine, but also negotiations for prisoner swaps. But yeah, so you said the word smuggling is crazy. So, like, come on, bro. So she was, it was recommended to her by her doctors to use hash oil, not the actual cannabis itself, but the hash oil, which is just the oil that comes from it, but to use that to help her with some of the injuries and some of the pain, the aches and pains that she was having, which cannabis has been suggested for years now, for not just her, but for millions, for thousands and thousands of athletes, because it has so many positive, such positive reactions to those things. So it's like, for you to say that she was smuggling, which 2 cartridges that's less than a gram together combined, smuggling is crazy. Smuggling, I think of, but you got kilos. That's what you got weight, bro. Like, and you talk about 2 less than a gram, bro. Like, is smuggling, bro?
9 years for it.
9 years, and like you said, she tried to. The maximum penalty in Russia for that is 10. So she didn't get the maximum penalty. And of course, like you said, she tried to appeal it to get lesser time, but it was just, out of good faith, just to kind of see what would happen. But they never expected for anything to happen from that. But it's like, they have argued that Griner had not intended to smuggle narcotics at all, which I know that wasn't her intention. She's a professional athlete. She's a known athlete. She's a superstar in the WNBA. Why would she ever plan to do that? But I don't know if you saw, well, you probably did, but the Biden administration has been trying to strike a deal with Russia to get them free for a minute now. You know what I'm saying? So, you said Paul. I got the information right here. Paul Whelan, who was a U.S. Marine, who was accused to being a spy, which was supposedly spying on Russia back in 2018, was sentenced to 16 years back in 2020. So hopefully we can, do something to get both of them freed here in the near future, man. But what do you think about the wrongfully detained? What you got on that, bro? What you got?
So, all right, listen, let's go ahead and get this out of the way.
Go ahead and get out of the way, bro. Go ahead and get out of the way.
I know I will get some backlash and some, I'll get backlash for this. but you probably shouldn't do illegal shit in other countries. Point blank, period. Right?
Bingo.
And but that's out the way. So you shouldn't do illegal shit in other countries.
Right.
In Brittney Griner's defense, let's look at the Russian law when it pertains to marijuana, which that's what hash derives from, is marijuana, cannabis.
Right.
So surprisingly, it's completely illegal in Russia. That means no medicinal use, no recreational use. Okay. Based off of the country's law, you can be fined or serve prison time for having marijuana or cannabis. In 2012, they altered the rule for those that have addiction issues, and along with that, it is said that if you are carrying small amounts up to 6 grams, the maximum fine, the what you can have for that is a fine of 5,000 rubles. What's the
I
currency?
I don't know how to pronounce it, but you on the right track.
5,000 and 2 weeks in prison for up to 6 grams.
Right.
So was she wrongfully detained? Abso-freaking-lutely. She was wrongfully detained and sentenced. If anything, she should be back home. She should have served her time or paid her fine and been back home many months ago. But because of the time frame, which unfortunately she got caught at the start of this Russia-Ukraine war, she's being used as a political pawn to send a message to us. Or to get the arms dealer back from America. And when you think about it, we're talking about somebody that had less than a gram of cannabis in exchange for an arms dealer. That shit don't add up.
It don't, bro.
That don't add up.
It don't.
I mean, so was she wrongfully detained? Absolutely. Has she been wrongfully sentenced? Absolutely. Even her Russian lawyer said, by Russian standards, this sentence is egregious. So it's only one thing that tells me it's only one reason why she's being held, because of who she is. Even though we don't really, again, an unpopular opinion to maybe not to men, but to women, they ain't gonna want to hear this. Even though we don't watch the WNBA, she's a star in the WNBA. And she was over there, as she said, helping spread the game of basketball to the Russian Federation. And so she was hoping that just doing that, she would get, a lesser time, but unfortunately it hasn't happened. And they are definitely using her as a political pawn to send a message to America.
They are. And I'm gonna take a different stance. Was she wrongfully detained? No. She was rightfully detained, but she was wrongfully sentenced. Because she had well less than what the standard is. Say something?
Yeah, you can hear me.
Okay. She had well less than what the standard is for what the $5,000 fine and the 2 weeks in prison was. So she was going to get at least some kind of reprimand for what she got, right? At least at the most the 2 weeks, right? But the timeline just didn't. You know what I'm saying? So they're trying to get the gentleman's name, what they call the merchant of death, Victor Bout. He's the Russian arms dealer that they're trying to swap. They're trying to swap Mr. Paul Whelan and Brittney Griner for, but he's at the time right now serving 25 years here in prison for trying to sell weapons in the conspiracy to kill American soldiers or Americans in general. But no, she was. I don't think she was wrongfully detained. She was rightfully detained, but she was definitely wrongfully sentenced. How you go from a $5,000 fine and 2 weeks in prison to 9 years?
God dang.
So that's crazy. And do I think she's going to serve those 9 years? No. I don't think she
I
will
don't
serve
know.
the full sentence.
You ever been to Russia? You ever been in jail outside? I mean, I know you haven't been to jail, period. But have you been to jail in any other country? No. So
No.
you don't know what they're going. That's why I said what I
Very
said.
true.
You shouldn't do illegal
Illegal
shit in
shit
other
in
countries
other countries.
because,
True.
especially with countries that we don't have that we have tension with. So Russia, China. Yeah, if I'm going over there, I'm on my P's and
On
Q's, bro.
P's and Q's.
I'm
What?
not doing anything
Head on
out
the
of the
swivel.
ordinary. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because stuff like you never know when you could be in the middle of something that you had no idea was going on,
Had nothing to do with you.
and now you are being made a pawn. You're being used as a piece in a game that you didn't know you were a part of.
Facts. But I mean, I guess I'm a retract that just a little bit. I honestly do think that with all the backlash that the government is going to get from, of course, the black community, the female community,
Mm-hmm.
the WNBA, the athletes, the
Mm-hmm.
sports community, they're going to figure something out to get Brittney back in the U.S.
Yep.
Now, do I think they should give up that orange dealer? Hell no, because he was trying to kill us, bro. He was trying to sell weapons to get to off Americans. So but that's really that seems like the only viable option for them, because just like you said, the Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said that they tried back on July 27th. They put a deal on the table to release Brittney, but just the thought of releasing the Merchant of Death is crazy to them. Like it's gonna be hard for them to let him go in replace of, and it's gonna sound bad me saying this, but it's gonna be hard for them to let the Merchant of Death go for a WNBA superstar. And
for a gram, less than a gram,
for less than a gram of hash oil.
Sense,
it just don't make sense. And it's unfortunate for Brittney because, like you said, it just happened at an inopportune time when Russia was invading Ukraine. And now, of course, we're the bully. So, of course, Ukraine was trying to get us to come help them. So now Russia's like, okay, cool. We're going to take Brittney. What y'all going to do?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So it was such bad timing for Brittney. It was such bad timing for her. But again, like D-Lo said, don't do illegal shit in other fucking countries. Be on your shit, bro. And if you're gonna do any, I ain't gonna say that. But just don't do it. Just don't do it. I don't care if it's recommended. You have to know the rules of these countries. So if you know that it's completely frowned upon in that country, completely illegal, why even try to get it back into the country, bro?
Well, the thing is, she was playing basketball over there.
For sure.
She said she mistakenly took the cartridges with her entering the country.
Mm-hmm.
Two thoughts here. One, just because you took it in the country don't mean you have to take it out.
For sure.
All right, you could have just been like, all right, I know this shit is illegal here. Let me just throw this away somewhere. Go on about your way. Or two, just because it's illegal there, just like how it was here in America, they be doing that shit all over the place. I mean, it has to be something going on over there. If they amended the law saying if you have drug addictions, this is the new way that we're going to handle your court cases. So maybe she thought, all right, well, I'm good just with this little bit.
Right.
All they're gonna do is probably just throw it away.
Give me a fine, or at least give me the fine $5,000. Cool, I got that.
I can go on about my way. So,
right.
So I mean, I guess I can see that we've all done stuff that we probably shouldn't have done here in the country. But again, it's here in the country. You don't do that in other countries for sure.
So I just had a thought, D-Lo.
I'm listening.
So the amended law was for people who have addictions. Maybe they realized that Brittney ain't have no addiction to this stuff, and that's why her fine was greater than what the addiction fine would have been, or the addiction. You know what I'm saying? Because
I get that.
So that's probably why she got the almost maximum, because they probably looked at her like, Brittney ain't got no addiction to this stuff. But in the same sense, how would you figure that out? How do you?
Well,
Well, I guess you can look at somebody and tell, but how would you? How would you know
or
that
they have
somebody
some
is
type of
addicted?
record with the addiction.
Yeah.
They've
Okay.
been to
True.
treatments and stuff like that, or they've been arrested
But
many
hold
times
up. But no.
before.
But see, even that's stupid, D'Lo. Because if you've been arrested for it before and you got the
It ain't my
maximum
law,
of,
bro.
well, true. But if you got a, if somebody
This is not my law.
if somebody in Russia got arrested for it before, then they got 10 years, right? But
Mm-hmm.
then they get out after those 10 years and they form an addiction to it. It's ass backwards. That shit is
It
ass
ain't my
backwards.
6 is not my law,
I think
bro.
it should be a buildup. I think it should be like, okay, you got caught, okay, $5,000, 2 weeks in jail. All right, cool. Then you keep doing it, then you build up to the 10 years. Why the hell are you going backwards?
So we've already said why it's the way it is. She's a pawn right now. She's a game in the chessboard.
She is a
She's a
game
piece
on it. She
of the
is a
chessboard.
pawn. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a piece on the chessboard
It just don't make
because
no
I mean,
damn
and
sense.
we're also thinking about American law to where
True.
it's the 3 strikes you're out rule.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
do it. It's a build up, and then okay, we're gonna throw you in prison.
Yeah.
Well, that's how it's supposed to be. What we know
True.
it to actually be is not the case.
True.
But yeah, so
It just don't make no
it,
sense.
it's wild, man. It's just wild because we'll go back to how she was charged, and that's what we need to look at is how she was charged. She was charged for possession and smuggling.
Smuggling.
So that's probably why the 10 years, the sentence that she got
Mm-hmm.
is how it is because they're saying she was trying to smuggle when in actuality she was not smuggling anything. She
At
just
all.
had a small amount of her own, well, obviously it was her own, a small amount of illegal drug in a country where they are now making a statement to the United States and to NATO about what they plan to do in the next coming years with the
Mm-hmm.
war that they have currently going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, what they can do with teaming up with China and all that stuff. So
It's just like, man, but it's good to see that everybody is backing her. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? Like the fans, rallied around her, her family and friends, and initially was quiet, you know what I'm
mhm,
saying? But it first became public on March the 5th because she got
mhm.
detained back in February. Um,
Yep.
but at first it didn't become public until March 5th. And you know what I'm saying? While the United States and Russia had a long, tense relationship regardless.
Mhm.
But like you said, man, it happened at such an inopportune time, bro. Like she was literally in the wrong place at the wrong time with some illegal shit. And now
Right.
she in the situation. And I mean, it's, it's definitely an unpopular opinion. And I really hope that she's able to we're able to get her back over here because the WNBA needs Brittney.
Mhm.
Definitely one of those superstars. But we need to get her back. We definitely need to
Yep.
get Shorty back.
So spread your wisdom on this. What's your final thoughts on the situation?
Well, my wisdom on the situation is, just like you said, just kind of reiterating what you said, bro. Don't do illegal shit in other countries. Be on your P's and Q's. Make sure that you got all your shit together, especially if you're an American in another country. I mean,
Mhm.
they seem to try to make an example out of us, especially because we're such a bully. Whenever these wars are talked about and things like that, other countries always ask us to come help. So we got to make sure that we are on our P's and Q's and not being in that public eye and doing anything wrong that'll get us in trouble, man. Because this, like we keep saying, it's just bad timing for Brittney.
Yep.
Bad timing for Brittney.
Yep.
Smuggling is crazy, but it's like hopefully we're able to come up with some kind of way to get Brittney back in the States to where she's safe and she's still doing her thing on the court and still
Mhm.
doing her thing in the community because it makes no sense for the amount that she had to have 9 years.
Right.
But hopefully we can do something to get BG back, man.
For sure. So the wisdom I'm going to spread about this and my final thoughts is when it comes to locking black people up for bogus drug charges, it seems like Russia and America have more in common than we think.
Facts, though. Facts, though. That boy is spitting. That's a fact, though. That's facts.
Yo. But I mean, listen. All jokes aside, though, I'm gonna say when you're traveling abroad, you're traveling to these different countries, especially countries that we have tension with. Mm-hmm. Be careful, because at a moment's notice, a pebble-sized mishap could turn into a mountain full of pain and trouble all around for you, for the country, for what I'm saying, for your family. Just be careful. Make sure that you're doing what you should be doing legally, because
for sure,
illegally they're gonna make an example out of you.
For sure.
So y'all let us know what you think about that in the comments as well. Happy to
talk
hear
about
what
it for
you're
sure.
saying.
We definitely want to interact with the people in the comments for sure.
The walking goat.
The walking goat of Tom Brady. His love of the sport is going to overtake a lot of things.
The first thing that popped in my mind is, damn, he been playing a long time.
He has been playing for a grip, cuz.